if you completely cut off an engineer from the tools they need to build, they do not just give up and stop. They find a completely different path through the laws of physics. That is the exact warning ASML's chief executive delivered to the tech world in 2026. When you deny a major power access to critical technology, you do not freeze them in time. You force them into survival mode. And survival mode forces radical invention. Right now, that warning is playing out in the semiconductor industry. Huawei has just released a new $580 titanium phone powered by homegrown silicon. On paper, it contains hardware achievements that global trade restrictions were supposed to make completely impossible. Even bigger, Huawei's chip division has just gone public with an aggressive engineering doctrine. They claim they have found a way to completely bypass the world's most advanced lithography machines and still hit next-generation 1.4 nanometer class performance. The entire hardware industry is locked in a fierce debate. Is this the moment the global chip sanctions permanently lose their teeth, or is there a massive physical trap hiding inside this new engineering claim? To understand why hardware engineers, ASML, and Apple are watching this so closely, we have to look directly inside the silicon. The device at the center of this storm is the Huawei Mate 70 Air.
It sells for roughly $580 to $590. On the outside, it looks like a high-end luxury flagship. It features an aerospace-grade titanium alloy frame, an ultra-ceramic glass back, a triple-lens camera array with a periscope zoom, and a body measuring just 6.6 millimeters thin. Yet inside that ultra-thin chassis, Huawei managed to pack a massive 6,500 mAh silicon carbon battery. To put that into perspective, that is more than double the battery capacity of Apple's own thin phone concept, the iPhone Air. This brings us to a strange turn of events in the smartphone market. Headlines love to claim that Apple is in an absolute panic over losing market share in China, but the real numbers tell a much more interesting story. In the first quarter of 2026, Apple's sales in China actually grew by 20% year over year. In fact, Apple was the fastest growing brand among the top 6 phone makers in the country. Both Huawei and Apple were gaining ground at the same time by squeezing out smaller Android competitors. The real tension between these two giants is not a simple sales chart. It is an engineering rivalry. Apple's attempt at an ultra-thin smartphone reportedly ran into severe manufacturing and sales roadblocks, leading major assembly partners like Foxconn and Luxshare to pull back production lines. The ripple effect was so manage wireless signals across complex frequency bands without draining the battery or overheating. For decades, this specific domain has been dominated by a tight circle of American companies, primarily Broadcom, Qorvo, and Skyworks.
Even Apple, with all of its world-class silicon engineering talent and billions in research capital, still purchases these specialized components from external suppliers. Huawei did not just replace a processor. They replaced the surrounding analog and wireless communication chain with domestic alternatives. It showed that the supply chain isolation forced upon them was triggering an across-the-board rebuilding of microelectronics, from baseband computing all the way to antenna logic. To understand how significant this is, we have to look at the rules of the chip war. Back in 2019, the United States placed Huawei on the Entity List, cutting off access to American chip design software, advanced foundries like TSMC, and Google services. In October 2022, export controls expanded dramatically, legally blocking advanced semiconductor manufacturing equipment, specifically extreme ultraviolet lithography machines, or EUV, from being sold to Chinese foundries. EUV machines, built exclusively by the Dutch company ASML, use extreme ultraviolet light with a tiny wavelength of 13.5 nanometers. This light allows foundries to print microscopic circuits onto silicon with incredible precision in very few steps. The entire theory behind the export controls was simple. Without EUV machines, no company on Earth can produce leading-edge silicon at scale. Yet in 2023, Huawei shocked global markets when they introduced the Mate 60 Pro, powered by the 7-nanometer Kirin 9000S, intentionally timed during a high-profile diplomatic visit by U.S. officials to Beijing. Teardowns confirmed it was real. By 2024, Huawei's chip design division, HiSilicon, doubled its revenue,
and climbed to third place in global premium Android chip market share, trailing only Qualcomm and Samsung. How did they build 7-nanometer chips without EUV? They used older deep ultraviolet or DUV immersion tools and pushed them through an engineering process known as self-aligned quadruple patterning or SAQP. Instead of printing a circuit path in one clean shot, the foundry prints a line, deposits spacer material around it, etches the original line away, and repeats the sequence multiple times. By shifting and repeating the pattern 4 times, they create ultra-dense circuit lines using light that was never originally designed to draw features that small. Detailed teardown data revealed that SMIC's N+3 manufacturing node actually achieved a raw transistor density of 113.4 million transistors per square millimeter. For comparison, TSMC's N6 node sits at around 107.7 million. On paper, the density number looked like a complete victory, but inside a fab, physics always demands a trade-off. Quadruple patterning is not an elegant shortcut. It is expensive brute force. Every single time you run a silicon wafer through an extra patterning and etching step, you expose it to contamination and microscopic alignment errors. If one mask layer shifts by a couple of nanometers, the entire die is ruined.
This drives manufacturing yields down and pushes production costs way up. TSMC and Intel use EUV because it replaces multiple complex mask steps with single exposures, keeping yields high and costs manageable. SMIC had to accept high defect rates and heavy financial costs just to manufacture the same number of working chips. Then comes the thermal penalty. Because DUV multi-patterning cannot optimize transistor geometries as cleanly as native EUV, the chips run hot and demand more power. Hardware testing shows that Huawei's Prime CPU core can pull around 4.5 watts under heavy load, whereas Apple's Efficiency core delivers higher raw integer performance while sipping just a single watt. When you put the chips side by side on synthetic benchmarks, the gap is clear. Apple's A18 processor beats the Kirin 9020 by 150% in single-core CPU speeds and over 470% in raw GPU compute. Huawei and SMIC had pushed 2D horizontal shrinking on older machines to its absolute physical and economic breaking point. They could not make the transistors any smaller side by side without yields collapsing entirely. They were hitting a hard wall. So they decided to change the geometry entirely. In May 2026, at an international engineering conference in Shanghai, Huawei semiconductor chief He Tingbo unveiled what the company claims is their long-term answer.
They call it the Tau law, and the core mechanism behind it is a design philosophy known as logic folding. He Tingbo acknowledged the reality plainly on stage, stating, "Geometric scaling needs the most advanced litho tooling and is rapidly approaching physical boundaries. For us, these challenges arrived earlier and are tougher." Traditional Moore's law relied on shrinking transistors horizontally on a single flat surface. Huawei's Tau law proposes taking that flat design and folding it vertically across 2 separate bonded wafers. In a standard digital logic gate, you have 2 types of transistors working together, NMOS and PMOS. Under logic folding, NMOS transistors are built on one wafer and PMOS transistors are built on a second wafer. The 2 wafers are then flipped face-to-face and fused together using ultra-dense hybrid bonding. By stacking the transistors on top of each other instead of placing them side by side, you instantly double your functional density without shrinking the horizontal wire lines. The metal track pitch can stay at a relaxed 40 nanometers. That means the foundry only needs simple double patterning instead of risky quadruple patterning, avoiding the yield nightmares of older DUV methods. Huawei claims this approach can push transistor density to 238 million transistors per square millimeter, delivering performance equivalent to a 1.4 nanometer chip by 2031, all without ever needing an EUV tool.
To make this work, Huawei specified a target hybrid bonding pitch of just 2 microns. For hardware enthusiasts, that specific number stands out immediately. Today's commercial 3D packaging technologies like AMD's 3D V-Cache or Intel's Foveros operate with bond pitches between 8 and 10 microns. A 2-micron pitch would be 4 to 5 times denser than any 3D stacking currently in commercial mass production anywhere in the world. On paper, logic folding sounds like a clean bypass around Western export restrictions. But in hardware engineering, there is no such thing as a free lunch. Logic folding does not eliminate manufacturing difficulty. It simply trades lithography problems for packaging, alignment, and thermal problems. First is heat. When you place billions of switching logic gates directly on top of another layer of switching logic gates, the thermal energy is trapped right in the middle of the sandwich. In a phone or server blade, dissipating high wattage across a 2-micron bonded interface is a massive, unsolved thermodynamic problem. Second is physical alignment. Bonding two separate 300mm silicon wafers together so that billions of microscopic connection points match up at a 2-micron pitch requires sub-nanometer overlay precision across the entire surface. Even He Tingbo admitted during her announcement that the specialized production equipment required to manufacture this design at high volume does not currently exist. Furthermore, China's separate push to build domestic lithography tools is moving slowly. While state-backed entities like Aishin Na are now producing domestic DUV steppers, independent evaluations show these machines are roughly equivalent to ASML systems from 2008. They are about 15 years behind, reliant on certain imported optics, and designed for 28-nanometer manufacturing, nowhere near the sub-micron tolerances required for advanced logic bonding. This massive gap between theoretical roadmaps and factory reality is why the announcement was met with immediate pushback. While state-run publications praise the Tao Law as a revolutionary breakthrough, tech enthusiasts on Chinese social media openly criticize the claims. One popular post noted, "When their exam scores are poor, they create their own questions and claim 100 points." Others labeled the announcement clever marketing designed to drive stock valuations rather than a factory-ready product. When you separate the marketing hype from the physical facts, the real state of the chip war becomes clear. Apple is not in a panic. Their silicon performance lead, software integration, and financial growth in global markets remain firmly intact. Even on Huawei's most optimistic roadmap, hitting 1.4 nanometer equivalent performance through logic folding is targeted for 2031. Meanwhile, TSMC and Intel are actively tracking real 1.4 nanometer silicon production between 2027 and 2028. That means even if Huawei's complex 3D stacking works exactly as planned, they will still remain 3 to 4 years behind the absolute leading edge.
NVIDIA's Jensen Huang noted that China is nanoseconds behind in computing capability, a reminder that while he has commercial reasons to advocate for open trade, the rate of domestic innovation cannot be ignored. The United States export controls did not destroy China's semiconductor capabilities, but they did achieve their core objective. They placed a heavy, expensive speed limit on their progress. They forced Chinese foundries into a difficult, high-cost path where every performance gain requires complex multi-patterning, custom 3D packaging, and immense capital investment. Yet the idea that a single technological choke point could permanently shut down a nation's hardware development has proven false. The Mate 70 Air and the Kirin 9020 prove that a fully domestic 7-nanometer processor with integrated 5G networking can be built and shipped in volume under complete sanctions. The battle for semiconductor supremacy